If you've ever worked in FP&A, reporting, cost accounting, or anything related really, you might know this. Allocation cycles can be either your best friend or your worst nightmare, depending on how it's set up, right? But here's the truth. Once you understand how the allocations, work and why the order of the allocation cycles matter, your P&L becomes cleaner, more strategic, and way easier to explain to the business. Today, I will be breaking down a simple, practical way with real FP&A insights that you can apply immediately. So let's go, right? Let's jump into it straight away. What are allocations? Expense allocations is the process of assigning shared costs to the cost centers or profit centers that actually benefit from them, right? So think of it like splitting a restaurant bill. If you ordered a steak, you shouldn't pay for someone else's margarita. That doesn't make sense, right? You didn't request that. You're not taking benefit from the margarita of someone else's. So you're paying only for the steak. In finance, we just do it with salaries, rent, IT costs, cloud licenses, and things of the sort, like risk charges, but at scale, right? So allocations make reporting fair. They turn messy overheads into meaningful business insights. Why allocations matter? Good allocations help you answer big questions such as which business unit is truly profitable? Which cost centers are consuming the most shared resources? Where can we optimize spending or reduce unnecessary overhead? Without allocations, your P&L is lying to you, basically, and that's a really strong point here. Some areas look more profitable than what they really are, and the other ones look worse than what they really are. Allocations reveal economic truth. Here are the most common methods of allocations. Okay, fixed percentage, and this is very straightforward. So basically, as an example, you have 40% going to underwriting, assuming an insurance company here. 40% of all the shared costs go to underwriting straight away. 30% go to claims, and 30% go to operations, right? So in total, 100% of this share bill allocated. We have a different perspective of doing this, which is the driver-based allocation. So it's more accurate because it uses real drivers. Let's say it bases itself into headcount, floor area, number of policies, IT users, storage usage, claim counts, and so on. So it has some drivers in which it triggers the percentage of the share bill to each department. So that's a really good way of doing things. This is the gold standard in modern FP&A, to be honest with you. So the third type here, we have the step-down allocation. So it's very common in insurance. So support areas allocate first, like HR, and then it goes to IT, and then it goes to finance, then operations, then the business units. So it avoids circular allocation loops, it's huge, because if you get to these loops, everything falls off. Really, you're not allocating, you're not telling the truth at the end of the day with your P&L. And the fourth type is activity-based costing, the so famous ABC costs. This is very sophisticated. It's very hard, and it's, by my experience, I've never really seen ABC in action, right? But it's a really good way of thinking on how things would be ideally done. So You allocate based on activities like call resolution time, underwriting effort, or claim handling complexity, right? What are allocation cycles? Like what this thing really is? An allocation cycle is simply the sequence in which your allocation rules run. Okay? For example, first, allocate HR to IT, finance, and operations. Then, on the second step, you allocate IT costs to operations and the business units. Then, on the third step, you allocate finance to the business units. Then, in the fourth step, you allocate operations to the products. Then, the final step, you allocate everything to the profit centers. Each step builds on the previous one, right? So you have like, a perfect sequence to avoid the loops. That's the way to do it, actually. Think of it like, dominoes. If the first piece falls wrong, everything else will fall wrong. So it's in its essence to do things in a perfect sequence. Otherwise, you'll be double counting some costs. You don't want to do this. Does the order of the allocation cycles really matter? Question mark. Yes, massively, I would say. It really, really matters. As I said, like you can double count costs. Cost centers can absorb, wrong costs. Whether costs are double counted, as I said, like whether you create loops, how accurate your final product or business unit profitability really is. So golden rule of FP&A allocation cycles: allocate from the most indirect costs to the most direct. What I mean by that? So overheads first, then you go to support, then you go to operations, then you go to business units, and the products at the very end. So it's a very, very good way of doing this, okay? This prevents circular references and ensures costs flow downstream and never, never upstream. This is key. So it's just an example here. Let's say your organization has these areas: HR, IT, finance, claims, underwriting, retail business units, as well as commercial business units. So this insurance company here has, both retail products and commercial products. A correct allocation cycle would be HR allocates into IT, finance, claims, and underwriting. Then second step, IT then allocates into finance, claims, and underwriting. Third step, finance allocates into claims and underwriting. Then claims allocates into retail and commercial. Then underwriting allocates into retail and commercial. And final step, final retail plus final commercial allocates into product level profitability. This ensures every cost flows in one direction, from overhead to product. That's pretty much it. It goes a straight line, yeah, right? Like it's just coming downstream instead of, going in circles. That's really important. So here is something most finance professionals miss, actually, right? Or they overlook, whatever. Allocations are not just mathematics. That's a service. When you design allocations with clarity and transparency, you help business leaders make better decisions. You reduce confusion, you build trust, because you're telling the truth. That's how finance evolves. The people who report numbers to strategic partners. That's where we want to get, right? A serving mindset transforms the quality of your allocations and the quality of your relationships due to the truth on the numbers you're delivering, right? So as you're delivering good reports that tell the truth, that are easy to understand, that are relatable to people who never used the tools before, that builds a strong relationship, and everything goes from there. So if you want accurate profitability, smarter business insights, and stronger trust across the organization, mastering allocations is a non-negotiable. You need to get to that. You need to get to a point in which you're very confident on how allocations work, and you can navigate through the complexity of the allocation cycles. You can do amendments, do corrections, create allocation cycles from the scratch if necessary. You have to be comfortable in this universe. And if you found this helpful, you can subscribe to the channel. That would help me a lot on creating new content. I'll be trying to create new content and dropping something here every week. So, if you're in FP&A, or, you want to learn more about FP&A in insurance or finance in general, and grow faster and smarter, just, like, subscribe, share with your friends that have, that are in the same path. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.